Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum, and I am happy to be here today. I have kind of a sad subject to bring up. And it has to do with every one of us right now. We all know people that have been suffering from various things. And this particular topic is a very good friend of mine's child succumbed to the use of drugs. It was a long battle. And I know a lot of us have been through this, and I've been through it myself with my own issues. And sometimes there's not a lot you can do. You try everything, but these drugs that come into the country now are so addictive that they're almost impossible to get off of. And I want to do this show today in respect and memory of this young child who was unable to fulfill his dreams because of his addiction to some drugs that had been going on for quite a while. And so it's kind of a somber show, but I really think it's important that we be able to talk about this in the community and figure out what it is that we can do. It's so easy to avoid the subject, and it's like you walk by the people that are in need, and our tendency is want to help, but often is to avoid them because we don't know how to help. And sometimes no matter what you do, the path is going to be the way it is. But there's always collateral damage, and those are family members, friends, people that have tried to help and not been able to. So my reference point of where I like to send people, and I think right now is a really important time for us to do this, but is to really learn what we can that's going on in the country and in the world, really, with the drugs that are just destroying the lives of not only our young people, but some of the very old people as well. And I'm not talking about prescription drugs given for a condition. I'm really talking about street drugs. Some of them were created by the pharmaceutical industry for certain conditions, but their abuse have destroyed many, many lives and continue to on a daily basis. So, we know that fentanyl is coming over the borders in horrendous numbers. We believe the number is down by a lot, but regardless, there's the lives of so many teens and young adults have been destroyed by this and or even handcuffed by it. Some people find their way off of it, some don't. I have my own personal story. A lot of you know it, but I think it's worth repeating in this segment because, no matter what, there is always hope until there isn't. And then all we do is blame ourselves for anything that we could have done different. And a lot of times it's not in our hands, and it has to do with so many different factors that I can't even pretend to know. But I think being able to talk about it, know that you have friends and family members that are suffering from this kind of thing. Oftentimes, the family member that's being, is a victim of this is ignored or made lesser of. And rightly so. They've tried to help and help and help, and around every corner, they're not able to accept the help. And we all have our own struggles. We all have our own axe to grind. Even though we might look good on the surface on a day-to-day basis, there's a good likelihood that each of us need help by somebody that we care for or love along the way. And that's kind of the reason for this show. And I want this young man's life not to just fade away, but I want to use it as a way to, at least in my small part, reach out to the community and say, what can you do? How do you do it? Who is it that you think needs help? And what can you do to help them? So maybe you've exhausted every card that you have. Maybe you don't know where to go from here. My name is Dr. Duncan McCollum. I'm a chiropractor in Santa Cruz community. I've been in practice here for 35 years, and I've seen lots and lots of cases of not only anything under the sun, but of this particular type of abuse with narcotics or other kind of drugs. And it is a sad day when a battle is lost, as it was the other day for the son of a very good friend of mine. And so I'm taking the time to speak about it. I would refer people, I've heard the commercial actually on this actual channel on KSCO, and it's called the drugfreeworld.org. And I've looked into this, drugfreeworld.org. And if you haven't, I recommend that you get familiar with it. And there's a lot of great information for free on there. And if it saves one person by talking about this today, then I'm happy. Um, but I hope it reaches a lot more. And I know that every single one of us knows somebody that needs this information. And I know that there's many, many people out there that the time has lapsed to which a certain person could be helped. But it doesn't mean that their life should go on in vain or should go in vain. It's time for us to do something, to help in the community. Education is the key. Um, Drug Feed World. I did a talk on my radio show with a Reverend Shaw. It's been a couple years now. I'm going to see about getting him to come on in the next week or so, so we can really understand what's happening on in globally, nationwide, citywide. He was a reverend in Compton. He could tell stories much greater than I can. All I know is when I was 27 years old, I almost overdosed on several different drugs, and I wouldn't be here today all these years later had a couple of events not occurred. But, when and why people get involved in street drugs can be many. Um, Often it's like a recreational fun thing to do. And then I can tell you that you try to recreate that first experience, it's never the same. Um, and eventually, that reality becomes more real than the world around you. And everything is going on inside your head rather than in the world around you. And that was the revelation I had one day when I was shortly before I almost OD'd, or I basically did OD. I overdosed. Didn't kill me, thank God. But I felt like my heart was going to stop. But regardless, I was thinking and trying to figure out how to solve this problem for myself. I wouldn't reach out to anybody. Everybody thought I was fine. I'd reach out to my friends and say, "Hey, I'm doing too much of this or that." And they'd look at me and go, "Duncan, you look great," because I kind of have this look of just being mellow, right? At least I think that's what I'm told. Um, so they wouldn't see what was going on beneath my eyes, beneath my flesh, in my brain, in my body, the cravings that I was having, the pain that I was in, both mentally and physically. So it would go unwatched. And just like so many people out there in the community that are, anywhere along this, it could be alcohol, it could be, fentanyl, unfortunately, or Xanax, or, all these other street drugs that are out there today, heroin. In my day, it was crank and cocaine that nearly killed me, and more on the crank side, but alcohol and, different types of smokables, opiums, and all that stuff. It became a daily thing for me. And I can understand that people get involved in this. And for those of you who don't know my story, I'll take a minute to tell, but only because I want you to understand I do have some personal experience here, not only in people lives lost that I've witnessed, but in my own journey. And I'm just going to recap this for those of you that don't know, but I was diagnosed with dyslexia in first grade, probably playing with too much mercury. I made a C backwards, missed work and threw me into special ed rather than having me draw the C 100 times the right way. I remember that specifically. But that I started having learning disabilities. I had a tragedy with my older brother when I was 9 and he was 16. My mother passed away when I was 17. Um, we had moved towns, which strips you of your certainty. So I was kind of a vulnerable kid. Then I fell out of a tree at age 12, ended up breaking my back and not knowing it because it was a compression fracture. Young kids are supposed to be seen, not heard. Back then, I was just giving drugs. And those drugs did nothing but mask my pain, kind of. I grew up in Berkeley in the 60s and 70s. I started listening to the Jefferson Airplane. Grace Slick sang about a white rabbit who had better pills than my mom. Telegraph Avenue and the local park became my sanctuary for unconsciousness. And when I moved out of that town, that followed me. And I still had tremendous pain from my back with no explanation. But I took a long haul down the road where I was doing lots of stuff every day from the moment I woke up to the moment fell asleep because my body was exhausted day after day after day. And one night I was standing in my music room at the time, had all my music instruments turned on. I was playing a couple different keyboards, 3 in the morning, snorting coke, crank, alcohol, laced joints with opium. And all of a sudden I couldn't move. And I realized my heart was missing beats. And I stood there for a minute and then I walked out of there and made it to the cliff a block away. And I looked down there for a while and I thought about where my life had been and where it was right then and where it was going. And somehow or other, I was able to make the decision to stop. And my mother had a lot to do with it, even though she'd been dead for um, 14 years. And but something she had always said was enough for me to hang on to. But I stopped cold turkey at that time. I was very fortunate. And even though I did all kinds of everything we did in the 60s, 70s, 80s, I was able to function. I was able to go to school, learn to read, become a chiropractor, and I've been doing that for 35 years. But it doesn't mean that that I'm done, healed, or that I don't think about that stuff a lot. And, this is something that I think we all have different dopamine addictions, and dopamine is really the issue. So you've heard of serotonin, which is the the neurotransmitter that just makes you feel serene. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter that makes you feel like you did something but want more. It's the quick high, it's the thrill of agony, thrill of victory. And it's what you get when you are on the internet all day, just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, or when you're doing drugs and or you're eating in abundance or you're compulsing over something. That's a dopamine addiction and a dopamine high. So that coupled with the hard narcotics you're putting in your body are enough to basically stop your life. And it has on many occasions, and it did for my dear friend's son. And I decided I need to do a show again on this. And the truth about drugs is that they're out there and they're very harmful. They've been accepted into our community and allowed into our community through illegal means in way too high quantities. And, a lot of us just kind of go along our day with our blinders on. We don't want to have them on, but we don't know what to do about it. So this is the outcome of one of those stories. And it's so weighs so hard on my heart because, trying to help people and help somebody who you just don't know what to do is terrible, and especially when the outcome is what it is. So I just want to encourage people to take a minute, get a little bit of education on this thing. I recommend going to the drugfreeworld.org. There might be other ones out there, but I know this one is well researched. It's got, really great booklets that you can get from it that you can order them. I believe you can get them for free. Some people sponsor them, and we'll get them and put them into schools or stores or what have you, and groups. But if we could save one life, that'd be great. And it's not just the life or death issue, but one person to be able to have a dream or a goal to be a fireman or to be a medic or a computer guy or participate in sports. Growing up, I had a lot of friends that were doing the same thing as me and people that come from very well means. And one particular guy, the middle brother of a family of, there were three of them, and they were great athletes. The one in the middle was the best. He was a great tennis player, great at everything he did, but he got into drugs, and um, he still was able to participate in that stuff, but he never got to his potential. He ended up teaching tennis as a living, um, but only in the way so that he could support his habit. And he passed away at a young age, younger than me. I'm 69. It was just a few years ago. But, it's like you think, wow, what would have happened if he had not been on those drugs? And we were all on drugs when I was a kid, and even talking to some people the other day that are in my age bracket saying, yeah, we did all that when we were younger. We just had a limit to what we did. And they would even tell me about other friends of theirs that lost everything because of their addiction to various white powders of the day or what have you. So I think it's worth taking the time to talk about this. If you're listening, I hope it's not offensive to you or you don't consider me stepping out of bounds by doing this. Um, I would hope that you would maybe pass this on, even text or email me at info at McCollum Wellness and say thank you or not good or whatever you want. But if I don't do anything, I don't know who else is. So I'm just taking a stab at it today to see if there's somebody that we can help and in support of somebody that wasn't able to get the hand that we were reaching out for him, unfortunately. Beautiful, beautiful soul. So this is Dr. Duncan McCollum, McCollum Wellness Radio. I'm just here to express how much I care about the community and the people that are listening to my show. Um, Thank you for listening. And go to, if you want, Drug Free World and order some of their booklets on drugs. They have them on every street drug out there and even some pharmaceutical drugs, and kind of tells the pros and cons, what you need to know and not know about these drugs. So that's my story. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum, and today is a day that I recommend everybody just take a step back and go, how can we make the world a better place? There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of division amongst different people, and that division is very harmful. But amongst every single group, there are people that are suffering from drug addiction. And from every group, there are people that are going to take that ultimate sacrifice, not being able to be helped. When is the best time to do something? Yesterday or last year or 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years ago. But what can you do today? Something. So I'm doing whatever I can. I'm dedicating the show to speaking about this and seeing who you might know who wants help. You can reach out to me, info at McCollum Family Chiropractic. This is not my practice, doesn't deal with addiction, but I can listen and I can perhaps help point people in the right direction. I would be more than happy to do that. So I'm going to take a short break. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum talking about our community, people in the community that are too easy to ignore, too easy to avoid because of the uncomfortableness. Um, we've all known them. We wish the best for them, but it's not our time to do it. Well, maybe a postcard, friendly phone call, something that you could do that might make a difference, because a difference, a small act of kindness can go a long way, is what I always like to say. So, this is Dr. McCollum. I'm going to take a short break, McCollum Family Chiropractic, and I'll be back in just a couple minutes. Thank you. Hey, this is Dr. McCollum. If you have not come in for the $49 soft wave therapy special, this is your time to do it. This is the still in the new year. We still are making amazing changes with our stem cell machine. And I highly recommend that if you or somebody you know suffering from any type of chronic condition, especially in the joints, the hips, the knees, you're looking for a replacement. However, you're not sure if you need it yet, you want a second opinion, then this is a great opportunity to come in and talk to me, Dr. Duncan McCollum. We'll sit down and do a complimentary consultation. If it looks like it makes sense to go forward from there, for $49, we'll do an evaluation, take an x-ray of the area of concern to make sure that it is something that I think we can help. And then we'll do a treatment that day. And then we'll have you experience what it feels like to have the soft wave therapy treatment. Then when you come back the next day, we'll be able to find out whether or not this is something we can think we can help you with. So if you'd like to take advantage of that, 831-459-9990, 831-459-9990, or you can email info@mccollumwellness.com, info@McCollum Wellness, MCCOLLUM. And what the heck, it's really worth checking out to see whether or not we can help you again. So anyway, the soft wave therapy machine is pretty amazing. We also have lasers. So if we elect that that's a better way to go, we'll explain that to you when you come in. But anyway, I really appreciate you listening to me on KSCO, McCollum Wellness Radio. I have over 200 podcasts that you can listen to on anywhere you find podcasts, and just go to McCollum Wellness Radio and you can listen to any one of my 200 plus podcasts that are all geared towards natural healing, anywhere from peripheral neuropathy to detoxification. There's so much that we can do to help somebody who wants to take a natural approach to health. So, anyway, I appreciate you, and we're going to get back to the regular show. Hi, Dr. McCollum back, and I just wanted to again mention the purpose of this show is to reach out to the people in our community, people anybody that has been plagued by this drug problem that is so rampant in our community. The drugs of today are nothing like they were in the 60s and 70s. They were bad drugs then, but they weren't basically deadly like they are today. Um, I am kind of referencing Drug Free World. If you haven't gone to drugfreeworld.com and you know somebody that's have a drug problem, I really want you to reach out to them. Um, or just know this, these people are lonely. They are trying to fix themselves. They don't know how. They have this mechanism, biochemical mechanism going on in their body where their body tells them that they need these drugs to survive, and all it's doing is destroying them. And we've all heard of dopamine, serotonin, dopamine, these particular type of um, neurotransmitters that our body creates in order to help with our emotional moods and our body moods, because your bodies have moods as well. And one of the main things that these drugs do is they're a toxin to your nervous system. They're a toxin to your any part of your body, your brain. And, a lot of things are okay in a small amount. I'm not saying these drugs are, but they use snake venom in things to help cure people. A certain amount, too much water is going to kill you. Not enough water will kill you. Too much air or not enough. So we got to understand that there is a tolerance that our body can have before it goes over the edge. And any of the street drugs are not good. These days, they lead to more and more terrible things. I was told a story by somebody that knew this young man who passed away. That was when they were in their teens. This young person's younger sibling was going to be sold some marijuana that was laced with something, and one person who's no longer with us to the other older sibling, this is happening. And that allowed them to get in touch with the younger one and stopped this terrible cascade that could have ended very poorly. And most of these drug things do end very poorly. And we really want people to reach out and get the help or help people. But the main thing is don't avoid these people. It may feel very uncomfortable. It may feel like there's somebody else's problem. And, but it's all of our problem because we've allowed this to occur in our country. The amount of fentanyl and stuff coming over the borders is horrendous. Now, I believe I've heard that that's being reduced dramatically, but it doesn't stop the damage done and the people that are addicted today. So, where do you reach out? There's some pretty good programs out there. I think that the one I refer to, the Drug-Free World, is put together. It's all nonprofit. You can get a ton of free material from them. I'm looking at their fact page right now. They have pamphlets on fentanyl, marijuana, synthetic drugs, alcohol, ecstasy, cocaine, crack, crystal meth, and all these different things, painkillers, heroin, LSD, inhalants, um, all just the myriad, but Ritalin. And a lot of these street drugs are, of course, pharmaceutical drugs gone bad or gone awry, got into the hands of the wrong people for the wrong reason. And so, just if you didn't catch earlier on the show, the reason I'm doing this, and again, I'm Dr. Duncan McCollum, McCollum Family Chiropractic, is a very, very dear friend of mine's young child, not that young, but passed away this week on an overdose. And he'd been struggling for years. He'd been through several rehabs, got himself cleaned up, and then ended up relapsing, looking for a way for a hand up that people would employ him or he could get interested in something. But, the thing is that when you're addicted to these things, it's very, very difficult to get off of them. And the main thing though, the main point is look for the people out there that need your help. This is the best thing that you can do is reach out. Even the family members of, because they oftentimes are very guilt-ridden that they've um, done something that wrong or something that couldn't help this person, where in fact they've given their life and their eye tooth to help them. And so, if you know anybody like that, just reach out and you never know how small and how far a small act of kindness might go. So, if you can call somebody and just say, "Hey, how's it going? I just want to let you know that I was thinking about you." You may not be in a position where you can do anything else to help them. And maybe you are. But one way or another, reaching out might be what that person needs so that they can go another day trying to help save the life of somebody. So, what can we do to, educate people before they get this far? Um, well, there's a lot of different programs that I think we're going to see more of now with Bobby Kennedy, at the helm of HHS. And it's going to take a while. There's a trickle down effect, but anybody can help. You can get a hold of the drugfreeworld.org and order a bunch of brochures on drugs, on the whole gamut or on something specific. If you are in a some kind of adult group where you know that this information would be helpful, you can order it and pass it out to the group. You could get it to different organizations, children's groups. The first time I ever took a drug was marijuana. I was in between sixth and seventh grade back then in the 70s or late 60s. So, and it was relatively easy to get then. I think that these days kids are even starting younger. And I can tell you, I told a lot of my experience earlier in the earlier part of the show where I almost OD'd at age 27. But, I can tell you that because of a family member, in my case, it was my mother, even though she was already dead for 14 years when this all happened, that bit of love that she gave me, that part of her that she imparted on me to make me feel special, um, carried me through and it pulled me out of that gap. And you never know what's going to relate to any individual at one point because you could go over the edge at any time. And but if you have something that makes you want to hold on, that can get you through the storm. And that's really what I'm wanting people to be aware of. So I'm going to get a hold of, as I mentioned before, this was in short notice, but I'm going to have Dr. Reverend Shaw on the show with me in the next week or so. And he works for the drug-free world. He's an ambassador. He worked out of Compton, if you can believe that, helping get the drugs out of that inner city. He's had some incredible results with it, and I've had him on the show before, but it's kind of hard for people to believe, I think, that, here I am, I'm a chiropractor, been in practice 35 years, have a relatively successful practice, to realize that there was a point where I was addicted to drugs and where they owned me and I almost OD'd, probably more than once that I can remember. But I was very lucky that I didn't get arrested, thrown in jail, all of that kind of stuff. I just was lucky. But a lot of people aren't that lucky and they get caught for things before they straighten up. Um, but it's really important that, if you know anybody, reach out to them as soon as you can and say, hey, is there anything that we can do to help you? And again, you may not be able to have the time or the bandwidth to help them, but if they say, yeah, you can always get a hold of somebody at the Drug Free World. Um, you can always email me, McCollum, or info at McCollum Wellness, and say, how do I get a hold of this stuff? Some of these pamphlets. I'll actually get some ordered and have them at my office. I'll try to do that next week. So if anybody wants them, they can just come pick them up. Um, and, but I think I'm just kind of being real here. I'm just telling my story. It's like I've had too many family members, friends of family, children of family members succumb to these terrible drugs. And these mostly are very, very talented people that just got on the wrong side of things. I mean, this gets into the industries. Look at how many great musicians have succumbed to these kind of drugs. I remember the movie way out of the younger time, but Lady Sings the Blues, and it was Diana Ross portraying Um, I forget her name. I'll think of it in a minute. But um, Billie Holiday, she was portraying Billie Holiday, and this is not an uncommon story. These creeps love to hang out with successful people, whether they're musicians, influencers, artists, and then they get them addicted to these drugs, probably in a way of, hey, I got something. Do you want some? And the next thing you know, like Billie Holiday, what a terrible story she had. So many great pianists and jazz artists of the time. I mean, even Miles Davis was addicted to heroin for a long time. Some of the guys from our day, some of the musicians from our time, terrible bouts with drugs, and a lot of them didn't make it. 27 was the age that people didn't get past. Diana Ross, Belushi, Jimi Hendrix, 27, right? So these are, this is something that I want to reach out to the community about and say, what can you do? What have you thought about something that you could do to maybe help? Or maybe this isn't interesting to you at all, but um, I just wanted to put it in the ear that, there are organizations out there that can help. Again, the drug-free world is the one that I go to because I know about it and the information is great. Um, they pass, oftentimes there's organizations that pass these pamphlets out at street fairs in Watsonville and Salinas, and um, we got some into the schools. I think, right now they need to be in the elementary schools because of it's so popular to be bad. Being bad means you're good if you're bad, right? So you want to take these drugs because it makes you cool. And how many people have said, well, I got on it because so and so was doing it and I didn't want to feel like a flake or a dork. So I tried this stuff because Joe was doing it. And the next thing you know, my life is ruined. I'm going down this spiral. And hopefully we can you get out of it before it happens. So I remember one day, it was right about the time I was 27, I was f- uh, working with myself to try to get off of these drugs. And it was very difficult because I'd turn around and want more, turn around and want more. It was available and not hard to get from your quote friends, unquote. And I just started to think about where I was sitting in my house, barely able to move. And I just remember having this vision of popping out of my head into the bedroom, then out into the house, then above my house, then above the block, above the city. And pretty soon I had this vision of being above the earth, not necessarily a trip, but I realized that where I was this tiny little pin dot in this tiny little house on this tiny little map, um, in this room, sitting on a couch, barely able to move. And I thought, wow, what is out there in the world that I might be interested in? And I, it was phenomenal that I had this decision or had that thought because everything was in. What can I do inward? How am I feeling inward? And that's what drugs do. They make you go in and feel your body. Somehow, something my mother had said, she was an artist, showed me a lot about nature when I was a kid. I started refocusing my attention to what was out there. And I would take walks and I'd look at flowers and I'd look at different color houses and the trees and I'd look off into the distance and look short around me. And I started to realize that there was more to live than what only I could only exist by knowing what was in my body or what I was feeling in my body. So this was a life-changing moment for me because all of a sudden I found out, wow, there's something out there more interesting than what's in my brain. I mean, maybe if I wasn't completely numb, I could create a song or write a book, but I was illiterate at 27 years old. I didn't learn to read till I was 28 when I popped out of all this because I had decided I had to go to chiropractic school. and I couldn't read. But my sister, 5 years older than me, had been worried about me for many years. She finally moved to Santa Cruz from the Bay Area just to be close to me. And actually, she saved my life by doing that. She cared enough to be around me. She knew she couldn't force me to stop anything, but by being around me enough, it brought me out of my head into the world enough where I decided I wanted to live. And so that was a cool thing. That eventually she helped convince me that I could go to chiropractic school. So this is Dr. Duncan McCollum, McCollum Family Chiropractic. Um, I'm going to take a short break and come back and finish the show up in just a couple minutes. But I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate you out there. Go find somebody that you care about, somebody that you know might need a little bit of love. It may be alcohol, it may be drugs, it might be just they're down on their luck and down on their life. It doesn't have to be a drug story, but it's a story of giving people enough encouragement that they can maybe move on and do something in their health. So I'll be back in just a sec. Hey, it's Dr. Duncan McCollum coming to you from KSCO, and I appreciate you listening to our radio show and spreading it out to other people. You know, I have over 200 podcasts that you can listen to on any podcast available station. McCollum Wellness Radio, over 200 shows. And that way you can listen to me or pass me off to other people that might need to hear me. If you are liking this, please let us know at info@mccollumwellness.com. I'd really appreciate just hearing what your thoughts are about my show, anything that you think you'd like me to talk about. And again, it's Dr. Duncan McCollum, 831-459-9990, or info at McCollum Wellness, and just say, hey, I listened to the show. I appreciate this, or this is what you could improve on. Um, and I would appreciate it. And don't forget about the $49 TRT special that is out there to just change your life. We've done over 14,000 of these treatments in the last 6 years. And I'm telling you, we wouldn't be doing it if it didn't change people's lives. We've helped a lot of people. And for 49 bucks, you can find out if it can help you. We do a consultation, evaluation, look at the area of your concern. And if it makes sense, we'll move forward, take an x-ray and do a treatment. Up until I do an x-ray and a treatment, there's no charge to sit down and talk with me. I just want to let you know this is out there. This equipment is out there, and it's more than likely can change your life dramatically. So please call the office 831-459-9990, 831-459-9990, and or info at McCollum Wellness, and come on and say hi. Come pick up a bottle of vitamin G. We have 100% pure gratitude in a bottle. And so you're welcome to pick up a bottle or several and distribute them where you know they need to go, because gratitude will change everything. Okay, back to the show. Okay, everybody, I'm back, and I just wanted to thank you for listening today. Oftentimes, my shows are more upbeat and full of different exciting things. Today, it is all about life, saving lives, and that's my goal on today's show is help give people hope for issues that they just don't think they can get over. I'm talking specifically about drug addiction today, whether it's fentanyl, Xanax, cocaine, heroin, Suboxone, any of those things, and maybe just marijuana. I mean, marijuana destroyed me. Of course, I went on to everything else possible. And to me, it was a gateway drug. I was already having terrible trouble with pain. That kind of numbed it. And I kept finding more and more and more pills and things to put up my nose and elsewhere. And, it almost killed me. I almost had a heart attack one night. So much speed in me. My heart was going to pop out of my chest. Um, I somehow don't know how it happened, but with the luck of God and everybody who cared about me, I popped out of it and I quit cold turkey. got myself into a program to detoxify my body, and that was amazing. And then went to chiropractic school after being illiterate since I was at elementary school. That's only telling my story to you because I don't care about me. I just want other people to know that you could change your life in a heartbeat. Oftentimes we have to forget. And I listened to a guy speak the other day, and he said, what's more important in learning is unlearning. So sometimes you have to be a good unlearner because learning got us to where we are, and they've got us making these decisions on things that may not make a difference and we might not be able to do anything about. And it's a dead end road. A lot of what we've learned doesn't work. And a lot of what we learned has gotten you where you are today. Now, health wise, in your industry, your creativity, you know, we have been conditioned to think that we're not that great of people. And I luckily had a few amazing people in my life that planted seeds that I could do more or anything. And I just want to put that out to you that this is your opportunity to do anything in your life. Don't ever put a limit on it. And there's never too late for a new beginning. And especially those of you that are struggling with various things, it's never too late for a new beginning. You just have to continue to make that decision over and over and over. It's a new beginning every day, every minute of every day. And gratitude is there to help you. So if I hadn't done it myself, I wouldn't be saying all this. I still got a long ways to go. Every day is a struggle for me. Um, I get up and I think about what is it that I can do today to make sure that I'm on the right path. And I look at my gratitudes. I look at my goals, and am I flawless on it? No, I screw up a lot, but I do more right than wrong. And when you keep piling that up, you end up getting where you want to be. So um, I want to just kind of, recap a little bit of what I talked about today. Um, I started out the show. For some people come up later in the show, they turn it on. And this is Dr. Duncan McCollum. I'm a chiropractor in Capitola. I've been practicing for 35 years. I've seen a lot of things across all gamut of life. Um, and this is not something that's new to me, but very recently, one of my dear friends' um, child passed away from drug addiction. Long time struggle, many, many years of struggle. Many times he was looked like he was going to make it, only to fall flat. Part of it is because perhaps lack of other people's support, definitely not from his mother. Um, but mainly it's the drugs. The drugs own people. You get a biochemical personality going where the drugs own you. And then, well, that becomes the most important thing. And I can tell you this because I've been there. For 18 years of my life, I was a drug addict. And I'm not proud of it, but I'm willing to say it because, you know, that ended when I was 28 years old. I'm now 69, so 41 years I've kicked that habit. Um, and that's pretty, I wouldn't be here if I didn't, I can tell you that much. But getting there took me 7 years. I mean, it took me 7 years to quit. When I was 20, I knew I needed to quit, and it ruined relationships, music bands I was in, friendships, advancement in every area of my life. These 18 years of being a drug addict completely destroyed me. And thank God for a family member, my sister, who came and got me. And it wasn't like, hey, we're going this way. No, it took her moving to my town and living there for 2 years, in my case, to guide me slowly, one step forward, five steps back, to where I finally started looking out at the world outside rather than the chemicals in my brain that were playing tricks on me, thinking that that was a good thing. So I'm pretty aware of what those drugs do to you. And I was wanting to reach out because I know that everybody knows people out there that need help. You may not be in a position where you can do much other than call the family member and say, "Hey, how's it going? You're doing an awesome job. Keep it up. I'm impressed by what you're doing." Whatever you can think of, go buy them a cup of coffee, sit down with them, talk about something great that's going on in the world or not. Talk to them about you think that, they're you should support them, whatever it is, that person and you know what you should say. So, as you can tell, this is not a rehearsed show by any way, shape, or form. It's just the raw material of me reaching out and saying, what can you do? What can I do more of? And this is what I chose to do, is spend my hour on the radio today, talking about, the issue of the drugs in our country, and especially the kids that are addicted to these things and the adults, you know, and what can be done about it? Well, they're trying to dry them up at the border, so there are not as many coming in. This is a great thing, but it doesn't mean that the kids are not getting inundated with them. So um, sometimes you just catch them early. Please try to catch them early. The drugfreeworld.org website, you can get tons of information that you can give to kids. It's not cool to be high. I used to think it was cool to be high. That coolness did is kill, probably 6 out of 10 of my friends, from high school, maybe not quite that number, but I've seen that with groups. They just drop like flies, whether it's alcohol or drugs. Um, there's such an amazing world out here to be in and to see. That was raining so hard today. It was awesome. The windows are getting, we're rattling with nature. So, I just want to encourage you to take the chance to talk to somebody that needs to hear from you. Things are getting brighter, and there's a lot we can do to hope and help people. So, this is Dr. Duncan McCollum, McCollum Family Chiropractic in Capitola. We have a very large health practice. We specialize in peripheral neuropathy. If you know anybody with peripheral neuropathy, they should come see us. We do a special. In fact, I'm doing a peripheral neuropathy workshop on the 18th, which is this coming Tuesday. And you're welcome to come. It's a lunch meeting. And just let us know, call to reserve a seat because we only have so many that we can reserve. That way you can find out more about what's this thing called peripheral neuropathy, where my nerves are dying. And then that way we can let you know about what we can do to help you. And that somebody's trying to talk to me and they don't know that I'm on a radio show. So we're just about done with it. But anyhow, I would love to have you come in and see us. Um, if you come to the peripheral neuropathy workshop on this coming Tuesday at 12:30 at McCollum Family Chiropractic in Capitola, 831-459-9990. You can find out about us at mccollumwellness.com. If you know anybody that is having trouble with the drug issues, I would encourage you to at least reach out to drugfreeworld.org. Um, Again, tell them how much you care about them. Um, and then that way, maybe you can help them get over that ridge so that they can have a fulfilling life. Um, I don't know where I would be if I didn't have people that cared about me. And two people carried me into a chiropractic office, and I don't even know who they are. And they had to get exposed to x-rays just to hold me up so I could get an x-ray. And the doctor could look at me and go, "When did you break your back?" Which I had broken years before, and nobody showed me. But I was on drugs for years and years and years, street drugs that almost killed me because of the pain in my back. So again, this is Dr. Duncan McCollum, KSCO Radio. I really, really like the station. I love it. Support KSCO any way you can. And come have a show. There's people that probably need to hear from you. Talk to MZ about how you can get on here and influence people, or at least make people feel a little better. All right, it's been a great afternoon. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this made sense, and go out and find somebody and tell them you love them. Thank you.